What's good, y'all? It's your boy, Philly Talk with PA. We always keep it a stack, always keep it a buck. Bit more serious episode today. It's gonna be our first full. We're gonna talk about the obvious elephant in the room. One could say, Michigan. This is gonna be our first time talking, really anything related to the University of Michigan. As we know, earlier this week, pretty crazy stuff, and I wanted to wait until like full context dropped, full charges were placed, and full stories will continue to be revealed. I think we all know Sherrone Moore has not said his part yet in court. I'm pretty sure that'll be probably Monday or later in the week. We'll talk about what happened in court on Friday. We'll talk about official reports, what people have been saying, and then we'll go into a bit of the alleged stuff as well. Because this whole situation is nasty. Like, I want to be very clear. Like, this whole situation is nasty. Both sides are at fault. Obviously, some more than others. This whole situation is crazy. And we'll get into we'll get into everyone in this involved in this situation as well. Because a lot of people have been asking me like, bro, what's like the full story? What actually went down? Because there's a lot of rumors going around, different things like the DoorDash rumor, like all that stuff, and we'll get into that, fiscal reports. But to start it all off, so this is a confirmed timeline from ESPN. So, according to this past summer, starting in the summer, Sherrone Moore, executive assistant Paige Shiver, brought in by the University of Michigan for questioning, and essentially they asked them like, is there something going on, relations? They said no. That's the summer of 2025. They said no. They were asked having any inappropriate relations with staff. Sherrone said no. Shiver said no. We get to 3 weeks ago. And also, by the way, Moore was also being investigated for two other conducts with two other women, two other sexual misconduct with two other women. That's just crazy. 3 weeks to 3 so apparently like about a week before Ohio State, the game, University informed Sherrone Moore only. No additional staff, no players, no fans. No one knew, but the university was opening an investigation into Sherrone Moore, Paige Shiver situation. And apparently, this is what I know from people who, I'm not going to name their names, just anonymous sources, people that work with or really close to the football team. Sherrone Moore have been acting suspicious all of this past week, like last week, leading up to this past Wednesday. Sherrone Moore have been acting like really strange all week. Then apparently on Monday, fires Paige Shiver. Wednesday morning, Paige Shiver goes to the university. Athletic director Ward Manuel, I'm assuming, changes her story. So I'm assuming and telling like what was really going on, behind the scenes. That's Wednesday morning. And this is where it starts to get nasty for the University of Michigan. Ward Manuel, the athletic director, has to go as well. Apparently he fired Sherrone Moore, who he's dealing with mental struggles. I think that's what he's saying. I think that's what a lot of other people are saying. Sherrone Moore, who's dealing with mental struggles, Ward Emanuel apparently essentially fired him one on one in a room alone. No security present, no HR present, none of that, no additional staff member, coach, nobody present. It's just Manuel and Moore. And Manuel just let Sherrone Moore pretty much walk out, like, and do his thing, like, right after that. No security follows him. Just Moore's on his own. That's around 4 p. That is around 3:45, 4 p.m. Sherrone Moore is fired. He's let go at that moment. So apparently, right after that, Sherrone Moore goes to his house. He's I think acting erratic. Pretty much threatens his wife, or he Sherrone Moore, and we'll get to similar instances where this kind of happened in the past. I'm not like the threatening part, but he essentially threatens his like the woman that he has 3 kids with. So essentially, you say wife, 3 kids, goes home, says some stuff, then Sprint goes straight to Shiver's house, the staff member's house, breaks in, goes for butter knives and scissors. Blood didn't even go for like the steak knife. Bro went for butter knives and scissors. Threatens to essentially, um, you know, unalive himself in front of her. Says there's a quote, you guys can look it up, audio, whatever. Like this blood, this bleep will be on your hands, all that stuff. Then I think she calls police, whatever. He takes off, he flees. Arrested at a local church, I believe Saline, Michigan. Um, this is just nasty, and I'm gonna explain why this is much worse than people like Ime Udoka. Um, and we'll get to the other rumors. We'll get to the OnlyFans. We are going to get to the DoorDash. We are going to get to the fiscal. We're going to get to all of that. But first, I want to explain why this is so much worse than Ime Udoka. When Ime Udoka, I think it was 2022, was doing the deed with a Celtic staffer whose name I don't think was ever revealed. If you're close, if you follow the Boston Celtics, you're like a Celtics page, like you're a hardcore Celtics fan, you could probably, if you try to dig and figure out who that Celtics staffer was, but the general public, they don't know. He's apparently, doing the deed with staffer, and essentially, what happens is that he gets canned. And we remember like that whole Stephen A. Smith, Malika Andrews saga, where Malika Andrews, the woke warrior, pretty much goes at Stephen A. as like women should not be blamed for anything. In that case, Ime Udoka, both were consenting parties. Obviously, Ime Udoka is the head coach. She's the face. Not many people know who this woman is. This married woman, yes, married woman is not nobody, unless you follow the Celtics. Once again, you probably don't know who that woman is. But nevertheless, Ime Udoka's fired. But even though like you say like, you're disappointed, Ime, like come on, bro. The only thing that Ime Udoka lost was Nia Long. Now, this is just me. I don't know how you feet on Nia Long. Like it just says like just me. I was gonna email like really, like this is what we're doing. But nevertheless, he gets a job like 2 months later. Houston Rockets. They're like the number 2 seed in the West right now. And there's that. That's also all Ime Udoka loses out on is Nia Long. Maybe some of the players. I mean, I don't think Tatum or Brown ever like talked about it. Those guys talked about it like publicly or whatever, like addressing it. But that's like bad. Like You can't be doing that. Like team misconduct. I personally think the woman's name should have still been revealed, but nevertheless, that's all Ime Udoka lost out on. He still has a NBA head coaching job. Sherrone Moore is 10 times worse for a multitude of reasons. One, your kids, like now, like when those kids, like it's sad now those kids grow up, they're gonna have to look at this, they're gonna have to hear it. Because I'll be honest with you, if this happened at Purdue, if this happened at, you know, a much smaller school, if this happened like at FCS school or something, people would probably like forget. Like to an extent, like after a period of time, people would probably forget. Bro, if you go to Michigan, if you coach at Ohio State, if you coach at Notre Dame, if you coach at Alabama, if you coach at LSU, they will remember that forever. Your name, every time your name comes up, they will remember you for like this. They're not gonna remember you technically 2-1 versus Ohio State. They're not gonna remember you for bringing all like the really good recruits in. This is what they're gonna remember you for. And it's unfortunate your kids, your okay. So this is also so Sherrone Moore. He talked about it a bit last year. He's kind of in this like Carl Anthony Towns, Jordan Woods relationship where they're not married, but it's like, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, you might as well just be. So he was like as close to getting married without getting married. So I don't think there will be no like official like divorce court and all that stuff. Most likely not gonna happen. Maybe like child custody, that's probably gonna be a thing, but as far as like divorce stuff goes, that's most likely not at play here because he was in that type of relationship. Next thing, bro, Ime Udoka was the coach of an NBA team. Bro, you are supposed to be leaders and leaders of young kids becoming men. That is what you were supposed to be. This is a extremely bad look because this now parents of recruits, parents of kids on the team are thinking like, I shook this man's hand. Like I really did all this for a guy that, clearly like has and this is not like a Sherrone Moore dumping episode. This is just saying like, cause bro, everyone comes up short. Everyone makes mistakes, but bro, and we're gonna get into the pregnant with the staffer situation too. We'll get into that right after this, but my brother, you are supposed to be. This is a college kids, and you were doing this bull jive. That is extremely nasty. Like I would not expect like the credibility of Sherrone Moore in the log. Like I know players are posting, like a lot of players posted like themselves like of them and the team. A lot of players posted. Pretty much every player on the team posted. Um, bro, I don't know how you can walk back into that locker room. Let's just say he had like stayed the head coach somehow, some way. I don't know how you could walk back into that locker room and it's like it's all good. Like it's breezy. Like the players like they don't look at you differently. And I think that's another thing we saw this year. I can't count the number of times I would see Sherrone Moore. A player would do something dumb. I would see Sherrone Moore like go over to him, kind of get in his face, tell him what clearly looks like don't do that again. The player goes back out on. This is a perfect example. Someone did something really stupid on the kick return. Someone head butted the official. in the Ohio State game. I'll let you guys figure out who that is. Sherrone Moore goes over to those players, tells them to cut it out. What do you think those two players did when they got back out on the field? Continued to bull jive. I can assure, bro. If this and this is people are like, we'll pull this as like a anomaly. The standard is a standard. If Nick Saban, if Jim Harbaugh is still coaching the team, that is not happening. Jay Sean Barham is not doing stupid stuff the entirety of the game. Guys are going to be willing to tackle. Guys are not going to be blocking assignments. I can assure you, if it's Nick Saban, if those guys, those kinds of guys are the head coach, that stuff is not happening. So maybe, and it's not even a stretch. If it's like one or two times, you can say, Paul, this is like a stretch. Bro, I saw the entire season, whether it's Oklahoma, whether it's Ohio State, whether it's USC, whether it's certain plays and wins over teams like Michigan State. Dude's just not listening to bro. And that's where the nasty part is. This is a college team. And for this to be, I guess, second or third scandal by Harbaugh, originally Harbaugh staff member, is crazy. And now we'll segue this real quick into the kid part. So Jim Harbaugh family, they're, Catholic. Obviously comes that pro-life. Me personally, I stand with those. That's not my personal opinion, not out here nor there. But that's the Harbaugh. That's what he stands on. He's been adamant. Like he said in a press conference, Michigan press conference when he was here, like if a player has a kid and like they can't take care of it, I will take it in. I will take care of it. I will raise it. Like I'll do what I can before having an abortion. And this is a highly debated topic. Not just like this is not even a sports thing. Like just across the country, highly debated topic. But never for Sherrone Moore to do this, and Harbaugh, and when Jim Harbaugh was asked about it, all he could say was like, "I'm just still processing." He can't like. I just find it so crazy people are glossing over this. For him to do this stuff and work for Jim Harbaugh and know what Jim Harbaugh stands for is crazy. And for you to, get the staffer, knocked up, for you to turn around and be like, oh shoot, like we gotta, abort like plan B, like do whatever they did. For that to happen is extremely nasty. Extremely nasty. And for players, for recruits to, find out about this way, this is bad. And Michigan, or at least you will say Michigan, like the athletic department has handled this terribly. Ward Manuel, for if this is true, the mental health stuff true, for Sherrone Moore to be struggling as long as he has been apparently with this mental health stuff, and for you to just clearly essentially just sit by and let it happen, you should be gone. Ward Manuel should be done. Like for this to be like third kind of scandal under his tenure with the football team alone. I mean, I don't like none of the other sports really have been involved in anything, but for this to be your third scandal, like, bro, you gotta, and for it to be like something like this, oh, you gotta hit it, buddy, but you gotta bounce, gotta hit the road. Um, Sherrone Moore made tremendous mistake. Let me be clear, Sherrone Moore most likely will never be head coach again. Most likely will never coach in Power 5 ever again. It's over. It's done. And after Juwan Howard, now after this, do not expect Michigan to hire any coaches of color for the foreseeable future. Do not expect it. This is not a racism thing. Just like you get one chance as a black man in this country. You get one chance. Certainly, and we'll keep it a buck. There are some exceptions. Um, well, Dion is still kind of in his first rodeo. Obviously, Dion doesn't really have the talent. You look at other guys. I mean, I could bring up so many head coaches right now. Coaches in the NFL. Robert Saleh, Steve Wilkes, probably Aaron Glenn. You get one chance. Brian Flores, you get one chance. You mess it up. Gerard Mayo, you mess up, you're done. It's over. Um, that's just whoever the head coach was before D'Amico Ryans in Houston. You get one chance, and if you don't get it, then that's tough. Like that's gotta keep it moving. Anthony Lynn with the Chargers. Now we know he wasn't really a good coach, but you get one chance. Um, I see Chip Kelly continue to get job like finesse his way into jobs. I don't know how. I don't know how Chip Kelly keeps on getting jobs, but Sherrone Moore, you're most likely done. Um, according to the Detroit News, Sherrone Moore now faces up to 6 years. I believe it is charged with home invasion, counts of stalking, and breaking and entering. This is bad. And I'm going to tell, and we're going to get into why the firing was bad. Real quick statement. Sherrone Moore, who was fired this week as Michigan football coach for what the school called an inappropriate relationship with a staff member, was charged Friday with 3 crimes, including home invasions, stalking a person he had dated. Prosecutors said Moore is accused of unlawfully entering the dwelling of a victim with whom Mr. Moore had a dating relationship. Washtenaw County Prosecutor's Office said. Um, this is extremely. I think Sherrone he bailed out on Friday afternoon. But this is crazy, and we'll put this up. I'll try to get this up for you guys in the vid. We'll try to put these up, these statements. Last thing we'll kind of talk about are these rumors. And we'll real quick, we'll mention police report. Pittsfield police stated 4:10 p.m. responded to 3000 block of Ann Arbor Saline Road for the purposes of an alleged assault. Suspect taken into custody. Incident does not appear to be random. Suspect lodged at Washtenaw County Jail pending review of charges by the prosecutor. Statement continued. At this time, investigation is ongoing. Yada, yada, yada. Courtesy of Washtenaw Police Department. I want to get into, so first off, the DoorDash rumor. There was apparently people on X saying there was footage, like a Ring doorbell camera footage of someone, like a DoorDasher delivering a Playing B to staffer Shiver's house. That seems to be largely debunked. And I want to, and let me be clear, let me preface all of this. These are rumors, meaning not confirmed. People just, putting speculation out there. Let me be clear. There's no, unless it's the main source has been Detroit News, Pete Thamel, ESPN, On 3, Yahoo Sports, Michigan Daily. Shout out to Michigan Daily. Shout out to the guys. But these are rumors. These are not. These are alleged And we'll get into the alleged timeline at the end to top this off. And we'll kind of go through how this could be like very bad. We'll talk about head coaching search as well at the end. But DoorDash rumor was that there was ringing doorbell footage of someone dropping off Plan B at the girl's house. That has been debunked largely because no footage has actually been shown yet. But there was that one. There was the OnlyFans one. Now this was disgusting. As someone who has, for someone who has 3 kids and pretty much a wife, this was nasty. New York Post, they're not really. It's like a very far right, um, in like paper. Like even a lot of like conservative people don't even like the New York Post. So a situation like Sherrone Moore situation, they're jumping, they're hopping on it. So apparently there was this main one, um, this main woman who does stuff on the internet for money. You guys can figure out what that is. I'm not gonna look it up. I don't want that on my feed. Apparently um, she reported like she showed like Sherrone Moore sliding into DMs on Instagram, along with I think a good amount of other models in that business. Um, my friend, we looked it up. Sure enough, there was her. It was her page, followed by Coach Moore UM. It is not looking good. It is not looking good for Sherrone Moore. Everything is it's coming down. Um, those were the two main. She's posting herself like she's been to a good amount of football games since 2023. Um, and that now we'll kind of end it off here. We'll get to the alleged timeline. So allegedly, if this based off of what this model, once again, this is speculation because none of this has been like kind of confirmed. But there is a photo. One of the photos is her in Michigan gear at the 2024 national championship. So if what he's posting is true, this stuff could have been going back as far as 2023. Now, we take it from there. He's messing with these, Instagram, OnlyFans 2023, allegedly. We fast forward to April of 2024 is an area a lot of people that cover Michigan are pointing to as to when the paid shiver stuff started, or really kind of heated up, because the summer investigation, which is confirmed, which is true, reported by Sports Illustrated, the summer investigation of Michigan interviewing the both of them, that happens summer 2025. We move on. Now, people are saying she had stopped showing up to stuff like kind of mid-season for a bit. And that's when people are saying alleged abortion took place. That's when people are saying it happened this season. At some point in the season, that's when they're saying it happened. There's We fast forward now to a week before Ohio State. University says we are opening an investigation. Only told Sherrone Moore. Once again, no coaches, no players knew about this. And they investigate. And the reason, and people keep on saying they should have just fired him because they pretty much knew. First off, yes. No, or sorry, let me rephrase that. First off, yes, they have to fire him with cause, because if they don't, they have to pay him like $13 million or something. They don't want to do that. Michigan, they obviously don't want to do that. They don't want to be in a Brian Kelly LSU situation. But maybe people are saying that They did a slower job. They did a slower job investigating because now you're behind the eight ball in a major way on the coaching hires. Obviously, Lane Kiffin, James Franklin, Matt Campbell, Brian Hartline, like a lot of those guys are taken up now. And you gotta look at it and say maybe Michigan could have done a faster job investigating, maybe, but you still have some solid options. Jed Fisher right now, Washington coach, he's looking like the most realistic option. John Gruden, Kenny Dillingham, Lincoln Riley, Jesse Minter. I'm not really in on any of those guys, especially with the culture issue that Michigan now has. You can't bring really at least 2 out of 4 of the guys I just mentioned in. Jed Fisher, unless Alabama gets blown out by 30 points, Kalen DeBoer is not coming here. Um, Jed Fisher, Washington head coach. You see what he's done after, kind of rebuilding it back up. He's done a pretty nice job. Overall, really respectable career, Jed Fisher. He right now is the most realistic option for this Michigan team. But once again, you're kind of behind the eight ball, and that is when, and it seems that it really just all came crashing down when Sherrone fired Shiver on Monday. Wednesday, Shiver comes forward Wednesday morning. Moore is fired again, like super dumb, 1-on-1, no one else present. Just lets Moore go on his way. And now, obviously, we saw Core TV this past Friday, as was recording yesterday. Sherrone personally was not looking good. The prosecutor went in on him. The prosecutor was going at it, just slamming the book, throwing the book. Just extremely nasty. And people like Shannon Sharp were talking on this, and Sharp was like, "Yo, I've been where you've been, bro." Respectfully, Shannon Sharp, you did not go to the girl's house, break in, go for a knife, and say, "I will end it all." You are not a head coach at a top 5 program, like a top 5 program as far as head coaching positions and lore. This is not a Shannon Sharp situation. This is not a you know what the Shannon Sharp allegations were. This is not that kind of situation. We're not going to say the word because we're not trying to get monetized. We're not trying to get banned out here. But this is not that situation, respectfully. Shannon Sharp did not commit multiple felonies by breaking and entering and doing all that stuff. Just keeping it a buck. But right now, we are a basketball school. At least I have Michigan basketball. Yaxel, Namari, Elliott, Morez, Trey, the guys. Loki about to just turn on women's hoops because they're number 6 in the country. I'm about to go turn on that Jean right now. But Sherrone Moore, it's really unfortunate. On the one hand, you kind of feel the mental health, but on the other hand, it's like, bro, like you had this joint going for allegedly, potentially 2 to 3 years. Just think about that. Allegedly. Everything, once again, will continue to come out. But this was a blindsiding hit to the Michigan community, Michigan football team. Just a crazy, unfortunate situation. Once more details will come out. And one more thing before I log off on this, John. I forgot to mention that fiscal report of Shiver, like her account, her salary going up $55K. That is real. That has been confirmed. That is real. Um, through the athletic, I believe athletic department fiscal records, that joint is real. Um, and this is something that we have to look at. Um, Once again, athletic director, he should go. He's got to go because this is too many instances of shady stuff going on. Hopefully, head coach. You need a head coach in here by this Wednesday. So in like 4 or 5 days, you have to have a head coach. Um, Me personally, I always think a program like Michigan, Notre Dame, when you fire a head coach, even in times like this, you already kind of have one planned or thought out. Um, but that's just me. That's just my 2 cents on this whole thing. Once again, a lot of you guys are asking, like, yo, what's going on? Like, you're like in the thick of it, obviously. Like, you hear everything, you hear the rumblings. Um, what's going on in this, John? Like, this is crazy. It is crazy. And once again, these are a lot of this stuff I said today was either confirmed by a source, whether it was Pete Thamel on 3, Sports Illustrated, Detroit News, Adam Schefter, ESPN, CBS Sports, Yahoo Sports reporters, or we talked about rumors, which once again, allegedly, these are alleged, no proof, no confirmed. We looked at police reports, try to get those out to y'all, but hey, man, it's crazy, but we keep it a buck, we keep it a stack over here. It's your boy, Philly Taco PA. Just kind of keep it real, man, for the people. I'm out, y'all.